Perfect.
Sarah Delta Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic, news, opinions and information with additional information on the RAYNET-UK website at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station unless you are instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET-UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name. And if you wish to leave the net immediately after checking in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, then please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll pause, repeat what I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again. If it's your turn to call in, then I will call from these strays at the end of the UK and international sections. So I'll begin taking check-ins to the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net as usual in call sign number order. So any stations with figure 9 and their call wishing to check into the net, please call now. This is G4 on RC. Second call from E9, stations figure 9 and their call sign, please go ahead, over. For an RC, nothing heard, so let's have 8. Stations figure 8 and their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Golf 8, Echo Yankee, G8EEY. Good afternoon, Greg. Name here is Mike. Golf 8, Sierra, Alpha, Uniform. Name's Bob. Good afternoon, Greg. And we wish you Merry Christmas. Just in and out, please.
Again, I was scaring myself. Golf 8 Echo Yankee, good afternoon. Got you, Mike, and Happy Christmas, Bob. Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform, copy you in and out. Any other 8s, please? G4 and RC, over. Nothing heard, so let's have 7. Stations figure 7 and the call sign, please go ahead, over.
Golf 7 November Echo Hotel G798. Good afternoon, Greg.
Seven November Echo Hotel. Good afternoon, Graham, and thanks for doing the streaming today. Any other 7s, please? G4 and RC, over. RC, nothing heard. Let's have 6s. Stations figure 6 and their call sign, please go ahead, over. T for an RC, second call, any stations figure 6 and their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Good afternoon, Golf 6, Papa Delta Echo, just in Ipswich. In and out, please, Greg.
6, Papa Delta Echo, good afternoon, Chris, and happy Christmas to you, copied you in and out. Okay, let's go for 5, stations figure 5 and that call sign, please go ahead, over. G for an RC, we don't have any 5s in the organisation, so we'll go straight to 4s, stations figure 4 and their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Golf 4, Hotel Uniform Foxtrot, Phil.
For an RC, good afternoon, Phil. Golf 4 Hotel Uniform Foxtrot, any of the 4s, please. G for an RC, over.
I Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, Philip, South Sussex.
G for KL, good afternoon, Philip. Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, G for an RC. Okay, let's go to 3s. Stations figure 3 and their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian.
Three Zulu Hotel X-Ray, good afternoon, Ian. Any other 3s, please? G for an RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard, so let's go for 2s. Stations figure 2 in their call sign, and that includes you intermediate 2s. Please call now, over.
To Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from Midway.
Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra. Also see you on YouTube. Good afternoon, Colin. Any other 2s, please? G for an RC, over. Nothing heard, so we'll have 1s. Stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. All any stations figure 1 in their call sign, please call now. G for an RC, over. C, nothing heard, so let's have Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over. And I'll see second call for any Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, over. Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please call now, over.
Golf Whiskey 0, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Very good afternoon and a very happy Christmas, Greg. Name is Andy, RAYNET Pembrokeshire. No traffic today, so in and out, please. Over.
JLX G4 and RC. Good afternoon, Andy. Happy Christmas to you, and copy to you in and out. Thanks for tail-ending the usual call-ins as always. Okay, do we have any UK stations that missed their turn to call in that wish to do so? Please call now. G4 and RC, over. For an RC, do we have any of our international colleagues with us? Any international liaison stations, usually from Noord-Zandpoort of Norway, Arran in Ireland, Aries in Slovakia, or Dares in the Netherlands? Any of our overseas colleagues, please? G4 and RC, over. Heard, so any station UK or international wishing to call into the RAYNET-UK activity period, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Mike 9, Mike Juliet Romeo, Mike calling from Aberdeenshire. No traffic from me, Greg. Just happy Christmas, and that's me in and out.
Mike 9, Mike Juliet Romeo, good afternoon, Mike, and happy Christmas to you up in Scotland. Copy to you in and out. Right, I've lost my cursor on screen, which is never a good place to start. G4XUR, your audio is extremely broken. Try again, over.
G4XUR.
G4XUR, G4 and RC. David, I only received your call sign and then it disappeared in a little blaze of digital glory. Not sure if you're in and out or staying with me. G4 and RC, over.
G4XUR. I'll
G4XUR, G4 and RC. Packet loss on you was 31%, and I think that was being polite since it was more like 100% at the end. Just got your call sign, and I think. So, David, I'm going to leave you at the end of the list. I will call you. If you don't come back, then I will find out the easy way whether or not you're in and out or not, and do it that way. Okay, reminder to everybody, Graham G7NEH is live streaming the net to YouTube today. Past live streams and recordings are available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel on YouTube, and he appreciates the like and subscribe buttons being pressed so he knows that this has been valuable through the year. We frequently look at what happens when things go wrong, but today spare a thought for the National Institute of Standards and Technology in Boulder, Colorado, who provide network time protocol services to many internet users. A storm in the early hours of this morning caused a prolonged power failure, affecting some of their atomic clocks, meaning that they are drifting away from the standard time, but still proudly telling everybody this is the wrong time. The servers are stubbornly defended by diesel generators and other fallback systems and can't easily be turned off, and only emergency workers are currently allowed on the site given storm damage, so it's causing some issues. Every user should ideally have a couple of time sources available for their IT networks, but when they disagree, how do you decide who's right? In a RAYNET context, for us, we step in when systems fail, but then need to be aware that for our own systems, even a humble temporary repeater might go rogue from time to time. So the idle question is, can you shut down all things that may affect your networks if needed? Talking of switch-offs, the last mobile phone network on 3G, Virgin Media/O2, are preparing to close the last of their sites in the coming weeks. Only a small handful of sites may remain where 4G and 5G isn't available. This is your last public information announcement to get rid of any of those 3G phones in your mobile control units. Finally, it's the anniversary of the Lockerbie bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. The BBC's been running a piece about RAYNET since the breakfast news this morning, along with a normal text piece on the website. But I want to talk more about that because I'm sure it'll make more in Friday's newsletter. So with that, let's go around and see what thoughts you've all got. Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC from G8 EY. Good afternoon all, and season's greetings all round. It's a comfortable 10 degrees centigrade here in Norfolk, or where I am it is. 1009 millibars, 97% relative humidity, which explains why it's a bit mist and hazy, and 100% cloud cover, which explains why it's really dark now. 10 miles per hour wind from 81 degrees. According to WeatherQuest, there's rain supposed to be happening, but even the rain can't be bothered to go out in this horrible weather. Doesn't seem to be happening yet. So, nice to think that at least this is the shortest day of the year, and that from now on the days will get longer. Yeah, we usually find that we can shut down WHQ, which is our police repeater. But if all methods seem to fail eventually, but if they do, then it's a bit of a diddle to get in to shut it down. But with 77's control link and also mobile phone control link, hopefully, hasn't been tested recently, better do that. We should be able to shut it down. Anything else we can normally get to from G8 EEY.
Eight Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC returning. Okay, yes, nice use there of the dual systems for cutting the throat of a naughty repeater. 77s being, I suppose, a little bit old-fashioned in some people's minds, but can we really depend on the mobile phone networks, especially if you do have to check that if the switch at the far end is dependent on 3G. Sorry, Mike, but this is the purpose of the net. It's just spreading joy and happiness wherever we go. Okay, shortest day of the year, I will note with some relief, plate chef propagation conditions have been awkward for my regular skids on 40 metres, and at least if we're hitting the bottom of it now, then I'll hope that I'll get some normality back around February. Right, let's move on to Graham, G7 and EH, G4 and RC.
G4 and RC, G7 and EH. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon to all on the net. So last week's viewing figures were a total of 36 views and 5 likes, which is not bad. Yeah, there we go. Not much to add from this end. Not done a lot of radio really, or hardly any. Just been trying to still get my head around FreeCAD, which I've been playing around with today, and that's been it really. So wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and look forward to the coming year. Leave me out the next round, Greg. Obviously I'll still keep streaming until the end. G4 NRC, G7 and EH.
G7 and EH, G4 and RC returning. Okay, yeah, I really should find a way of just gouging these stats out of all the log sheets to play with and see how it goes up and down. Still can't think how we get the variability week on week though. Likewise here, not played as much radio as I might have liked with the week off, with other things. However, the car appreciated its early Christmas present of an exhaust and 2 tyres, which is not a Christmas present, it's getting me through the next MOT. So, no, I will look for the Christmas break to see if I can play with any other toys. I didn't mention it in the headlines, but do think that we will have a week off next week. Then we can enjoy the Christmas break, so it probably makes this the last net of the year, and YouTube can take a little rest as well. So we'll need to get that announcement in, but we'll see if there's a huge clamour of people now going, no, don't do it, come back on the 28th. Over to Phil, G4HUF, G4 and RC, over.
This is G4HUF. Yeah, good afternoon all. Right, so I'm feeling unloved and unwanted, and you want a week's peace and quiet from me. Understandable. I can appreciate that. So, if you don't want to talk to me next Sunday, then fair enough. I can cope with that. But with the BBC spiel, reminded me of what I was doing all those years ago. Getting a phone call from your predecessor at the time, asking me to see what manpower I had available, and spending the rest of the duration of the run up to Christmas organising manpower to head up to Lockerbie from Cheshire. And of course, as you well know, Greg, going up there ourselves on Christmas Day. So definitely an interesting period. And to put it frankly, I am extremely happy and grateful that RAYNET has not had to do anything like that since. So on that thought, I shall pass it back, and of course, before I forget, I shall wish everybody on net all the very best for the forthcoming season, and I hope Santa brings you everything that you want. Thankfully, I've not suggested any radio type presents, albeit that I got mine very early at Newark. And that definitely was a radio time present. Having said that, it's been sat in his box after I'd got it out, tested it, and it's been put away and kept out of the way. So there we go. Anyway, back to you, Greg, and this is G4HUF.
HUF G4 NRC returning. Yes, yeah, I started getting pings this morning by daughters who obviously weren't around at that time, just letting me know that there's an article out there, and they've actually seen it on the news, BBC Breakfast. So yes, agreed, it's a anniversary that is sad in many ways, but agree, it's good job we haven't had another one like that. As far as you feeling unloved next Sunday, well, I was just giving you a chance because you'll have to figure out amongst the Sunday lunch club how you're going to pool all these leftovers from Christmas dinner. So I figured you'll all be fairly comatose by the time we get to that time anyway. Right, let's trot down to Philip with apologies if you were on the HF net earlier, but my wife came home early from her holiday, and so I had to skip the HF net because I'd had notice to move, and if I'm not there to do the pickup, then there is a problem and Christmas gets cancelled. G4KIL, G4 and RC, over.
Okay, G4 and RC, G4KIL. Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't on, I did stick the radio on, the one in the flat, on the short antenna, to monitor. I didn't hear anything. If I heard somebody very loud, I might have tried to respond a bit like I did last week, but I didn't hear anything, so I didn't respond. It certainly wasn't convenient to get to the main station, as it were, today. And from that same point of view, not quite sure what will happen next week. I shan't. If I'm operating at all, it will be from an alternative address, and that will be on a. I think that'll only be the 5 watts. Might be a slightly longer antenna, but we'll have to see what happens on that one. And if I've got if I can get it all together, so that would be the data one, of course. Then I think then we'll be on to the New Year one, won't we? Which presumably will be on Thursday, 2 o'clock. So I'll probably be on for that, I would think. That would be my expectation. That seems a long way ahead at the moment. Yeah. Apart from that, not a lot to say. Occasionally I come on the HF net through a Radio Club remote radio. They've changed the radio now, which at the moment means that I don't don't have transmit access to it. I've got a way of receiving from it, but not transmitting. That may change. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the new year. It may provide some alternatives when I'm not at the home base. Okay, that's probably it for me. I don't know if we're coming around again, so perhaps I'll hold the greetings till that one. I should be up on this on this frequency next week. I know it's not a formal net, but I should be up. I would expect. Can't be absolutely sure. Or with relatives, they might have other things for me to do at the time. But that would be my expectation. I'll be up. Yeah, I think I'll probably hold my greetings till the finals on the next time round. G4NRC, G4KL.
IL, G4NRC returning. Okay, there's still a lot in there to unpack. Yeah, I managed to tell one of my local group members who'd proudly told me he was going to be on the net that I wasn't going to be there, so apparently conditions were quite mushy on 60 metres, lots of QSB, difficult. He was being heard, but others weren't hearing him so well unless they used the infamous half-green web SDR, which only about 20 or 30 miles away from his house is a bit of a cheat. So that's where we got to with that, so at least there was a net going on. Next week, as far as HFnet goes, yes, it'll get called as usual. It's a non-voice net, so it's not quite as demanding and disruptive to family time, which is how it normally works out. The 1st of January, HFnet will indeed be at 1400 hours local since it's a bank holiday. So that's where that one will be. You're quite right. Again, nobody's told me what's happening on New Year's Day yet, so I'll figure it out, and whether I get to play or not will be announced in due course. Hopefully the remote radio has been changed to a better one, but okay, understand you don't have transmit access. We'll see how that develops, though. It's a useful facility when you've got it. Right, not making his same mistake as last week. G3ZHX staying with me rather than being in and out. G3ZHX, G4 and RC over.
G4NRC, G3ZHX. Did you call me back last week? I was listening, I don't remember. Yes, okay, no, I'm staying with you this week. Getting on to the subject under discussion, NTP, Network Time Protocol. I have actually been a victim of a screw-up somewhere back in the day when I only had one UK pool allocated. It was giving me the wrong time, and it was out by several minutes. It was definitely the wrong time. But having said that, I can't see that it really matters what the accurate time is to us, unless you're using one of the digital systems. I think FT8 requires you to transmit on the odd minute or something like that. Apart from that, we just log what we think the time is, and we could well be wrong anyway. As long as the times go up monotonically, it doesn't really matter. We can always sort it out afterwards. If the repeater, local repeater, fails, and it also fails to respond to its digital network, what's the word, not network, cell phone switch. Let me just take a pip. Yes, it fails to respond to its cell phone switch. I do have access to the room, but the building is entirely dependent on whether it's working hours on a weekday. Having said that, I would be under instruction. I'm no longer an officer of the group. I would be under instruction, and I would expect that all to be organised beforehand. We'd need access from the local EPO to get in there. And I think that's all I've got to say on this round, and I'll wait for your... Oh, I will be on channel next week, and I will, if I'm not otherwise occupied, I shall respond if anybody calls. And I'll wait for your next round, G3ZHX.
ZHX, G4 and RC returning. Okay, well, we did miss the input, you see, when you go in and out. So, in reverse order, the ad hoc net next week. Yeah, I just think it's fairer. Graham puts effort into doing YouTube streaming and everything else, so with just family and everything, it just makes a little bit of sense to give this net a rest. We aren't quite as religious about this as maybe the German National Society, who do suspend their news for 2 weeks at Christmas and also have a summer break as well, so people can have lives. So yeah, I think we will make the 28th an ad hoc. Noted your problems with building access out of hours. I can't tell you which city it was, but I found out the hard way. They only have one security guy who goes around all the council buildings in the city. So he just responds to alarms and does occasional checks. There isn't one per building, so it would be a bit of a problem in getting hold of him and getting him to the right place to get access, which is fun. And data modes and time accuracy, people do get hung up on this. My recollection, Gray might correct me when I'm wrong, but FT8s and hence JS8 call are good to within plus or minus 2 seconds. So people get hung up about needing super accurate time, but in reality you can probably do it off your watch. And there is a mode where you can tell it just to listen to every other station and follow the rest of the herd. So everybody will still communicate even if they are miles off what they'll call true time. But there's a side question there for Phil, HUF, because I think I saw somewhere that maritime clocks, which had to be checked every day in the radio room, that they only had to be plus or minus 30 seconds. So I'm interested in an answer to that one, because I'll never find that reference again. Okay, thanks Ian. Colin, 2 Echo Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, 2 CMS, yeah, season's greetings to all. Well, what have I got to add? I talked about time on different things. I finally yesterday managed to set my POXAC pager up to receive one of the Rubiks and set the time automatically, or at least till the clocks go forward again. Anyway, so just been playing about with the pages in the last few days, just as another sort of like interest, getting my head back around what it can do and what can be useful. See if I can use any scripts to pass interesting messages about Internet of Things goings on in the house. But apart from that, I haven't really got anything else to add at the moment. So I'll say check me out on this over, and I'll just carry on listening. G4 and RC 2E0 CMS.
Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC returning. Well, you've just given me another Christmas project, so that was Colin. My POXAG pager is hiding in the pile of stuff on the right-hand side of the laughingly called desk. Stopped using it mostly because the battery kept running out at inappropriate times. So didn't mind being waken up with the occasional page if it was doing the right thing, but when it decided to go flat battery at 4 AM in the morning, which I seem to remember my real pager from the 80s and 90s would do exactly the same thing. So that's when the battery's coldest and the chemistry is most sleepy. It just got a little unfun, so I need to get the discipline back for using that. One of the, sadly an ex-RAYNET member, whose call sign's gone, one of the South Wales guys, did do what you're planning to do, what you're planning to do of having a lot of server statuses and stuff shoved out to his pager when something went wrong in the house. It was all useful. But the time change, yes, you're right. POXAG, as in the amateur implementation, does seem to stick with UTC. I couldn't find a way of making it reflect civil time, let's give this its proper term. So it was UTC time all the way, which again caused me 6 months of confusion. But you get over it in the end, just like we do with normal radio. Anyway, noted you out, and happy Christmas to you, and see you next year. Right, let's see if we can get better than 31% packet loss off David, or if he's gone altogether. Golf 4 X-ray Uniform Romeo, G4 and RC, over. see. Okay, nothing heard, so I'm going to take that Ames out from the start then. There is a side thing as we run down the second round. I can't remember the page numbers, but in Radcom this month, people might see an article doing a bit of a historical analysis of Operation Market Garden and what could be learned from it. The bullet points at the end, Trevor G4KUJ, who's not on the net today, was quite keen to point out are still valid after all these decades, about testing nets frequently, testing equipment and understanding failure modes. So worth a read if you do get bored over Christmas, to have a look at that article. I've got page 97 in my mind, but I'm probably wrong. But have a look for that article if you are an RSGB subscriber. Right, we have 3 or 4 of us left on the second round, so let's go around for finals. Coalface Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC from G8 EEY. Yes, well, we run a net every Tuesday night in Norfolk, but there will not be one on the 30th of December. I don't think New Year's Eve will be a good night to have a net. When it comes to remote control of shutdown and operation, because we like to use DTMF, because you can program long streams out to do controls. Of course, you can't do that with a smartphone. I'm not sure why they call them smartphones, because they don't link the computer side with the phone, so that you can't actually call up memory strings that are DTMFs and send them during a call. When it comes to time, really you can only go by local time. I certainly remember we had an exercise with the local scouts on that nice little weekend when the clocks went forwards or backwards, I forget which, on Saturday night into Sunday. And of course you can't really go by local clocks that are actually auto-updating, so you have to stick to one or other. Radio 4 time is interesting. I mean, BBC is always accurate to the second, but if you watch Radio 4, listen to Radio 4 on satellite, you'll find that although they still send out the pips, they are roughly a second late. Interesting. Yeah, one thing to note is that in the past, NiCad batteries, certainly found this with reporters going out in the cold, NiCads don't like the cold. They always used to pack their NiCads in a bag and shove it inside their trousers so that they were still warm when they went into their tape machines. And lithium technology batteries don't like the cold either, and they especially don't like being charged when the temperature's too low. Anyway, thanks for running the net, Greg. Have a good Christmas, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks then, from G8 EEY.
Echo Echo Yankee, G4 NRC returning. Yes, time changes are really entertaining, because I've found some of my radio control clocks don't update until the following hour. So although you know the time has changed, because they don't look at the code all the time, one of them, well, my watch, let's do it easily, my watch only looks for the 3 minutes ahead of the hour, and then it's synchronized with the top of the hour, which is no use at all when it's the appropriate 1 AM or 2 AM that the time changes on. It has to wait for the following hour until it catches up. Of course, this is why radio logs are kept in UTC, or should be. The latency on Radio 4 pips via anything, streaming media and satellites and otherwise, well known, well noticed, and I think I won't be able to find it easily, but there was a talk by somebody at on a conference called Radio Tech Con, who went into the full in and outs of how time was sent over radio. About 9 minutes long, very entertaining, but they sort of also bring in that what we use as NTP, Network Time Protocol, isn't actually high resolution enough for broadcast use. They have their own time protocol internally. makes it seem a bit strange that they're bothered to the nanosecond about stuff going out in the broadcast chain when the chain itself can have milliseconds of delay to it. However, all good. Mike, thanks very much for being on the nets this year, and we'll see you in the new year, as you say. G4HUF for a final. G4 and RC, over.
G4HUF. Well, I'm glad it is a final, because I'll need to sit back and I might even have to lie down and relax after that challenge you threw me a little bit earlier. I've actually found the Post Office Handbook Working Installations. Oh, correction, let's start this again. Post Office Handbook for Radio Operators. Working installations by the Ministry of Posts and Telecoms. And the relevant passage with regard to time signals for ship stations. And I quote, time signals are sent out from certain stations, particulars of which are contained in the list of the radar published by the International Telecoms Union. The clock in the radio room should be checked against time signals at least once a day to ensure correct timing, especially during the silence periods mentioned in section 18. That is it. It doesn't give you a specific variation of plus or minus in that regard. It has got to be on time, but it doesn't give you any variation. The interesting thing there was with another environment where timing was important, i.e. signal boxes on the railways. They used to send out time signals once a day, and the criteria was, I think, within plus or minus 2 minutes. So if they were comparing train registers from adjacent signal boxes, particularly if there had been an incident, then every entry relating to those signal boxes had to be within 2 minutes of each other. So it's interesting that it varies so much. No doubt these days with the establishments of railway operating centres, aka ROCs, or mega signal boxes, I would imagine that timing is far more critical, because 90% of the operation is automatically computer controlled. Whereas it used to be, you know, a man in a box with lots of big heavy levers to operate the signalling system. Anyway, I digress, and I'm still at waffle. So, yeah, I can understand why you want next Sunday off, Greg. Right, all the very best to everybody on the net. I shall shut up. I'll listen to the end, but have a good one. This is G4HUF.
HUF G4 and RC, you not only met the challenge but set me a new one, because now I'm going to have to look at railway signal boxes, which was I think I went down ages ago trying to find the call letters in use by old telegraph stations, because those were the sources of your timing signal, and found interestingly that the first 2 letters of most people's postcodes are effectively the 2-letter call signs of the principal railway station in the area. Or at least that's how it seems to work out for the researcher who looked at this. So, sorry, thanks for that, Phil. I shall have to go back and see if I can find where this reference was. I can see there's probably not a lot of point in the marine clock of just shoving the hands back by 1 or 2 seconds, so I'm not sure whether this was too annoying to the clock, plus or minus 30 seconds, and wearing it out, or something legitimate for everybody was, as you say, give or take so many minutes, and it was close enough for the coroner. But we shall see. Anyway, have a good one. Enjoy next Sunday, and all the leftovers. 2 to go on the net. Philip, G4KL, G4RC, over.
be nice for AIR. Yeah, in terms of getting time reasonably accurate, I think the Radio 4 and FM is pretty good, isn't it? I usually set my watch by that, and one advantage if we needed it out in a shout or anything is that a lot of our radios have got FM receivers on them. So that's a way of getting it if you can get a Radio 4 signal. Apart from that, I think that is it from me for this round. So this side of Christmas. So greetings to all for the Christmas. So you have a good Christmas time. And those who are up next week, I would hope to be up and speak to you then. And greetings to all for the new year. And I shall repeat those greetings to those who are up next week, as it were, if I remember. So 73 is all. G4 KL. I've listened to the end of the net, but now clear back to G4 NRC.
NRC, returning to G4KL, yes, I think the analogue systems are still quite good for time signals. It's the latency of anything that bounces up and down over a satellite link especially a streaming link, which is a problem. So you have to give or take a couple of seconds on most of the stuff you hear now. And I think there was some uproar in Australia, one of our Antipodean colleagues, because they actually stopped sending the time signals. And it caused some hell over there, because they said, well, what's the point? It's inaccurate. But people wanted it because it was still a comforting sound partway through the day that they knew it was 12 o'clock. I have a different problem with latency, and if anybody wants to look at a Kiwi SDR, including mine, you can pull up the time signals from rugby, and it will cheerfully you can hear the tones peeping away, and you can watch the carrier rise and fall on a graphical display, and the two are not in sync, as the poor little processor is trying to listen to the tones, turn RF back into audio to send over a web link, and then draw some pretty pictures as well to show how it's doing the decoding. So, ambiguous is probably the nicest thing I can call it. Okay, Philip, enjoy next week if you get many people on. And 7-3s to you. And rounding out the net today is going to be Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC, over.
Oh dear, tail end Charlie again, G3ZHX here. Yes, I was going to suggest rugby as a time reference, because as far as I know, they use the atomic clocks at, the British National Atomic Clocks operating at Teddington. NPL, that's what I'm trying to think of, to get their time reference. As far as cold lithium batteries are concerned, one of the ways that came out is that aircraft in Canada, particularly Cessnas, were blowing the noses off when they got cold due to the lithium batteries failing. That's probably enough from me. I'm going to say Merry Christmas to all who's listening, and Happy New Year. And thanks for running the net, and thanks to Graham for streaming, and I hope to speak to you all in the new year. So that will be G3ZHX going back to standby.
G3ZHX, G4 NRC returning. Well, it's certainly been a learning one. I haven't heard of the aircraft blowing their noses off as I've typed it into the log. Not come across that failure mode before. That one might make it into work, just to remind people what a bad day looks like. Of course, rugby isn't rugby anymore. It's Altthorne up in Cumbria. An enormous mast which you can see off the M6 northbound with all its lights on if you get into the right place. But you're right, yes, it picks up its time signals from some local clocks, which are then synced down to Teddington. And the National Physical Laboratories have just had a dollop of money to wholly reinforce a nationwide time and positioning system set of services. I was going to say transmitters, but radio is part of it, but they're looking at getting more time servers here as well, which is going to be useful for our own resilience if anything goes a bit naughty somewhere. Right, let's bring it to an end. Thanks everybody for your contributions today. It's been interesting, as it has been for the whole year. So happy Christmas and happy New Year to those of you who I possibly might not talk to next week. So 7-3s, be careful. Hope you get what you deserve and want and everything else from Santa Claus on Christmas Day. And until January, with our next net at 1600 hours local time, I'll close the RAYNET UK weekly activity net on talk groups 23531, Pheonix and Brandmeister, and 50233531 on the RAYNET UK system, and return those talk groups to being an open net rather than a directed net. 7-3 all, this is G4 and RC now closing and reverting to my normal call sign of Call 0, Golf Uniform Bravo. Happy Christmas and bye-bye.